Welcome, everybody. We are here for talk about your health and your wealth. And I am Julie Murphy, and you can reach me at juliemurphy.com.
And I am 𝐀𝐮𝐭𝐡𝐨𝐫, aka the Spiritual Bodybuilder, and you can reach me at spiritualbodybuilder.com. And we're going to be talking about some health, a little bit of wealth, and the energies that surround all that stuff, because really that's kind of the center stage and piece of what's going on in everybody's life right now, right?
Is the stuff for sure.
Stuff. That is for damn
People
sure.
don't even really know which way to turn, honestly.
Right now, I think that the reason why we don't know which way to turn is because we're supposed to trust and surrender.
That's a big one.
I know. And when it comes down to everything in life, that is just sort of like, we have no clue which direction it's going. But
right.
If you are actually trusting and surrendering each, but it's like we have to do it every moment, every step, every turn, every decision, every thought.
Right.
Like, surrender. Oh, surrender. Eat. I use all the vowels there.
And I will tell you that, I just said this to somebody the other day, that what's super interesting to me is that, so when you go through a life experience, whether it's the recent events of the world or a personal event, like for me, the most recent personal one was a few years ago in my divorce process, that when you've made decisions and you've done things in your life, all of a sudden you're sitting there going, gosh, I don't know if I trust my decisions anymore. I don't know if I trust my intuition. I don't know if I trust, because everything's being flipped on its head.
Yeah.
And, but what really needs to happen is that each individual person needs to continue to just surrender into that trust and just know that you make the best decisions you can at the level of consciousness that you're at that particular time.
Absolutely. And, right now, especially astrologically speaking, we're being shown that we've been trying or attempting these different aspects of approaching our life purpose or ideas or things that we wanted to create in this world, and they failed over and over and over again. But the universe saying to us now, do it again, because the place that you're at right now is the right time. Everything has come together. So this is sort of the ultimate test, because it's like, we want to try this again, or not try, we want to do this again. We want to go into this thing that we feel so passionate about, but it's like, crap, am I going to fail again? Am I going to repeat history? Can I really trust? And that is where the trust and the surrender really, really, really comes into play.
Right. Well, and you just have to know that the energy fields have all opened up, and it's really, really important to just know that, things didn't open up before because the world wasn't ready for it to open up, or your personal world wasn't ready for it to open up. And you have to trust that process.
Trusting the process.
Yeah, and it's not easy. It really isn't. But
if it was easy, everybody would do it, right? Right now, we're seeing, oh, hi, whoever's in the background over there.
That's Gracia. Gracia is my nanny.
Gracias. Gracias. Oh, that's
Gracia's saying hello.
What's up, Tiffany?
He is the magic in my household and makes everything work.
Hey, Maru. No, I'm not on my YouTube channel, but I'm speaking with Julie, and she is on her face. You're on your Facebook, right, Julie?
Yeah, this is Facebook. Awaken with Julie.
Go to Awaken with Julie on Facebook. You can see my cool little green screen, the actual in the background. All right. Who's on this first line about me? Well, so there is a lot of people that are having stuff coming up right now. Of course, we are in eclipse season. All right, that kind of stuff happens, and if there's been betrayal, I've come to learn in my life that betrayal is our best teacher. Honestly, it is painful, right?
But it's only painful if we choose for it to be painful.
So true.
So I learned years ago from Deepak Chopra that you need to become the observer of your life. And I used to think that he was smoking something when he'd say that. I'd be like, be the observer of my life. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I never truly fully understood it until I started to get into a place where, I've meditated for years, but I finally started to get to a place when things get so overwhelming, you have no other choice to just observe it, or you're going to physically get sick.
Yeah, 100%.
And so Right. And so it does not have to be hard. It does
It
not have
doesn't.
to be a struggle. We choose for it
it.
to be a struggle.
Right. And now sometimes I think the most difficult aspect of that is realizing that we have the choice. That is our choice to make it hard. Right. So once we accept that, because then we have to take responsibility for it. And we are conditioned through the social conditioning to activate that victim mentality. Everybody wants to be a victim, to have to rely on the system that is completely broken, by the way.
Well, now caution there, my friend. I love you dearly, but don't participate in that duality and polarity crap.
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Good point.
Like we have to have our opinions. We have to stand up for what we believe in, but we really need to get into a communication style as a whole that we're not participating in the duality and polarity. Why? Because that's the old energy.
You're touche.
But we are all guilty of that. Every last one of us.
Yeah.
So it's like how there's some kind of alchemy or some kind of magic that needs to happen of how do you hold a safe space for people to communicate their beliefs and what they want to stand up for, but yet also be respectful of the others if they have a different, viewpoint. Like there's been a couple things that I've been really careful to not post things that, necessarily trigger me or something like that. But I've been posting things, and I had a friend from grammar school just like unfriend me because you're not the person I thought you were. And I'm like going, what are you talking about? Like, I have no idea what that person was talking about. And I was like, well, here's what's interesting. I have spent a lifetime doing right by people, being honorable, respectful, and I'm not perfect. God knows I'm not perfect. But, and I just sat there going, because I have a different opinion of where I was trying to hold space for people to have open dialogue, but respectful dialogue, and I wasn't buying into one side of the fence or the other, all of a sudden I was labeled, and I'm sitting there going, everybody just know that if this triggers you, that's your stuff that's coming up that you need to heal. Because if you weren't triggered, then you have nothing to heal. But if you're triggered, something needs to heal, and it's coming up and like knocking on the door going, I teach that with money all the time. I'm like, we use money like we use other things to satisfy our emotions. And these triggers, we have emotions going everywhere, all over the damn place these days. And we really just need to like try as much as you can, be the observer and hold space, because there's a lot of shit flying around.
We are in the projection train going to Trigger Town. 100%. There is so much projection and triggering going on right now. It is damn ridiculous. And like clearly, like, and we don't, at least sometimes I don't realize it because you just called me out on it, that we have to take accountability for
doing it with love.
Of course you do. And that's why I fucking love you, dude. Exactly. And I don't mind call me out if you see something in me that is, coming in that lower vibration. We are all human. We're all not. And that's the point of all this, right? To be able to face these triggers, whatever is coming in and triggering you, don't project it back. Look at the trigger and be like,
the guy that I'm dating right now, actually, the other day, I had gotten triggered by something. And then my daughter did something. She like came right in. And then he just stepped in and he goes, hold on a second. And he talked to my daughter and he goes, Mary Katie, your mom's just upset about something else. And she's just projecting that onto you. You're perfect. You're great. And don't worry about mom's just in her stuff right now. So why don't you just go play and let mom just work on her trigger? And I just sat there. First, I want to be like, who do you think you are talking to my daughter that way? That was like my first response.
Yeah, right.
And then 30 seconds later, I was like, oh my God, he's so right.
Yeah.
So right. And it was just like, because something else had happened and I was channeling that anger in the wrong place.
And that's what happens.
Right. And that's human nature.
Right. It's our teacher.
Yeah, it really is.
So when we can step back and be the conscious observer of that teacher and be triggered and okay, hold on a second.
Okay.
And all right, I'm being triggered. What's it teaching me? And that is conscious awareness. That's being the conscious observer.
That is conscious awareness. Right?
Yeah. And that, of course, like, and especially while, Venus is starting to slow down to start to station direct, right? So this,
take your word for it. You're the astrology guy.
so Venus, whenever a planet is stationed to go direct or retrograde, is when it's in its most powerful energy, right? When it slows, the slower it goes, the more of the gravitational force, the more of the power that it has on our consciousness. So with Venus coming to the end of the retrograde, hallelujah, then all these triggers about money and about love are coming up. So
why are those two interrelated?
Money and love?
With Venus retrograde, like why is it?
Well,
because
Venus.
Oh, is it because it's second chakra?
No, it's because Venus rules the vibration of money and the vibration of love.
It's super interesting that those are both in the same vibration, isn't it?
Well, think about it. I mean, so money and love both are related to our sense of power, right? Which is essentially related to the second chakra, the sacral chakra. So,
right.
So that interconnects with the heart chakra, which the heart chakra interconnects with everything, right?
Right.
But Venus is the divine feminine. It's about how we receive, all right? So money is a major vibration for everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and the thing is so many of us have abused that vibration, right?
Right.
Whether it's like laden with debt or your budget's out of whack. I hate the word budget. Your cash flow is out of whack.
Yeah, yeah. That's like between diet and nutrition, same thing.
Right.
Right. Yeah. But I would actually like to take a step deeper and say that Venus rules like our sense of value. Right? What we value. How do we approach the value of money? How do we value love? Like, for example, with love, like, are you projecting your deep emotional wound from a trauma when you were a child, and do you push away love, and do you bring in dysfunctional relationships?
Can I bring up an actual experience that I had on that?
Bring it up.
Okay, so we all have our patterns. So one of my patterns that I've known for years is that I would exchange money for love, but it didn't make a ton of sense until recently. So I realized at a very young age, so I grew up one of 12 children, and we didn't have a ton of money. Mom stayed home with us, I know 11 brothers and sisters. Marianne, Julie, Donnie, Brian, Matt, Colleen, Danny, Mark, Timmy, Peter, Johnny, Katie.
Did you get that from Good Will Hunting?
My siblings. But what I realized is that money got me out of the scarcity that I grew up around. And so money on some level in my subconscious mind, not my conscious mind, this is all in our, because we have two operating systems. There's the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. So in the subconscious mind, what it was that money took priority over people in love. Like, it was like, that became second because I was going to get the hell out of where I grew up.
Of course.
Like, that's how it wired inside my brain somehow. I never consciously chose that. And that started to untangle years ago when I started going, no, I'm not giving you money to try to get love in return. Because here's the thing, in our subconscious mind, we do not actually ever get what we are seeking when it's coming from the wrong energy. Right? Because you have to find, so for myself, I had to find the love within myself and stop seeking it or needing it from a third party.
Right. Absolutely.
So we project because we're trying to get something that we need from another human being.
Which is impossible.
Correct. And so you may desire to be with somebody, but you don't need to have somebody unless you're going to work out all this psychological garbage with them.
Right.
And then you're going to be in your patterning. And so as soon as I was hyper aware of, oh yeah, the complete pattern of me having money and then people, like from a love perspective, that pattern is disintegrating and it's slipping because we're going from mind consciousness, right, to our heart-based consciousness. And so as that's flipping even within me, it's like, oh, of course, because I'm the money chick, you know, so I'm even learning this at a much deeper level these days. And you know, so we all, is there some question or something that you're thinking?
I guess I always start doing this when I'm thinking, right? This is my deep thought phase.
Well, you know, and for me, you know, I'm always a big believer that you air your own stories, because then, you know, because like look what happened. So now I'm divorced with 4 kids and I pay alimony and he doesn't work as of this point, you know, but it's like that's how it manifested in my world. And it's like, oh, wow, because that was the relationship that I signed up for. You know, and then as we untangle all this stuff and say, you know what, my heart matters too. And then you start to flip it. Yeah.
So real quick, Julie, I have a question for you from the Divine Hand Tarot. And actually, I have the same question for you. I was just thinking the same thing. It says, I'm currently in the feeling of total abundance and not needing a partner and wondering how to integrate another into my peace.
Well, do you ever integrate? That's the first question. So you may desire to be with that person, but you don't necessarily need. So it's not a need-based relationship. It's a desired-based relationship. Right. And that's different because then you're walking together as opposed to pulling usually one ahead and one's behind.
Okay,
So it's coming from a completely different energy. And so how you integrate somebody is to continue to stay in your power. And you stay in your power and you stay in your lane and you be the best version of yourself, because if you take care of yourself, the universe will take care of the rest. So like if you start to integrate with one person and you just keep doing you, if that person's not good for you, they're going to vibrate right out of your life.
God, that's so true.
And you don't have to do anything. The universe will take care of it.
So essentially just keep doing you and hold the intention of, bravo.
Well,
it's so funny how so simple it is, right?
It is simple. And I think it's also very important for us to recognize that you can very easily go down old patterning. But now, once you are happy and you're in your own power, you can start to observe yourself going down that pattern and go, oh, this is familiar. Yeah, no, thank you. No, thanks.
Yeah.
I don't need to look at that lesson again. And then just go back to doing you again.
Okay. Thank you. That actually gave me some validation as well.
Ah, beautiful.
Yay. That's why I like working with you. Because you're so tapped in and just tuned in to the same frequency. And every time I talk to you, I get something new from whatever's going on in my life. And I know that's, that kind of goes both ways. And
yeah, totally.
It's always a great time. Oh yeah.
What'd she say?
The Divine Hand Tarot said thank you as well.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. Well, it really boils down to the fact that we have to love ourselves enough to keep doing us.
Right.
It is so often, because I even teach this to my children. It's like, when you get up in your head, you suffer. When you drop into your heart, everything aligns.
So true. And right now, we have our heart chakra is literally cracking wide open collectively. That's where all this, so on the outside right now, everything looks like it's falling apart, but it's actually rising together. This stuff is rising up to be cleared out, right? Rising together. Instead of falling in love, you rise in love, right? Yeah. Just like, okay, so I was talking about this the other day too. Instead of saying understand, why don't we say understand?
Huh?
Instead of saying like, I understand you, why don't we say I understand you? Because under just has to me, the vibration is just sort of like, right?
Yeah.
So inner means I internally get it, right? I understand you. So I'm going to start talking different, and people might think I'm weird or crazy, but I don't care. I have an Aquarius moon. That's how I operate. So fuck the rest.
As long as you just keep being you, it's okay.
Amen, sister.
Well, again, it's because I always talk about the fact that you have to let your freak flag fly.
Let that freak flag fly, baby. Hell yeah. Right?
Because you know what? Our freak flag is our uniqueness. It's who we are. It's
right.
who the world is screaming for you to be. And just know, like, I know there are a lot of marriages and relationships falling apart these days. There's, you know, domestic violence is up 60%.
Holy shit.
Now.
Really? 60%?
Yeah. Well, yes, it's terrible.
That's a lot of unhappy relationships. Jesus.
Which is why I'm starting my other series, Awaken Your Relationships, with an expert in the psychology and relationship piece of it, because domestic abuse is so high right now. And I think it's because, again, to your point, that everything is opening up. It's like you can no longer ignore the things that haven't been working for years in your life.
Can't fake the funk.
And it's okay. You know, I said to one of my mentors, there was somebody that we worked with since I was 22 years old, and he decided to take his business and go elsewhere. And we were no longer part of a group that helped to leverage each other, because we're all individual business owners. And I just said to him, I said, you know what? Not everyone's going to the next place of your journey with you.
That's so true. As you raise your frequency, not everybody's else's frequency is going to come with you.
Right. And it's okay that happens.
Yeah. Well, we need to be okay with that.
Right.
It's when we get attached. So when we get attached, that's when other people can drag us down. It's got to let go of those attachments so that we can rise and trust.
And those attachments show up in such weird ways, don't they?
Yes, they do.
It could be like, in my world, I know a lot of marriages. I've had people call me up after meetings and they're going, I just want to tell you, I don't have the courage to tell my husband this, but I've got like $35,000 of credit card debt that my husband has no idea about. And it's like, the money is just the result of something else going on in your world.
35 grand and the husband doesn't know about it?
Yeah.
How do you hide that?
Well, when we either work things out or we act it out, and we do it through our money or through our health.
That's it.
Right?
Isn't it funny how it always comes back to the exact same fundamental things every single time?
Every single time. And it's like, so my job is to provoke these people in terms of, let's do the healing work. What was interesting, and there's one particular case that sticks out in my head where that was the case. The wife called me up and hers was like 49,000 in credit card debt or something like that. And literally, like, she's acting out in her money, and then he got diagnosed with this really rare autoimmune disease thing. And it's like, because something underlying in their relationship and in their marriage is not working out. And as opposed to creating all this credit card debt and killing yourself from a health perspective, just address what you're most afraid of. You know, you have to start to bring those feelings up. I told my son while we were here, we're in Sedona right now. And I decided to work from here this week because I have my kids. And I said to my son, I said, no, you know what? I'm taking your electronics away because it's time for you to feel all your feelings of everything about the divorce, because he's been distracting himself with electronics. And I was just like, no. And that poor little soul has cried so much over the last 5 days. But the only way to the next place is to feel your feelings. You've got to get those feelings out of those first 3 chakras. So that you can connect to this heart energy. And it's about like holding a safe space. And so much these days that people are going through it's not logical.
No.
Like we can't think, you know, that our way through this time.
No, that's not going to work. It's because the vibration is shifting so dramatically that we're clearing out everything that's been coming through since the beginning of the age of Pisces.
Right.
It's the last 2,500 years.
Right.
I mean, like, this is ancestral stuff, like stuff that our parents and our grandparents and our great grandparents, that they had this patterning, and now the patterning it's unwinding. So this is actually a good thing, and I want everybody to understand that this is actually a very good thing. You can't get caught up in the like, oh my God, this is tough. This is what awakening, this is what raising your vibration looks and feels like.
Well, and can we also talk about one other thing that, so I was raised Irish Catholic.
Oh
And
boy.
what?
Oh boy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, there's a lot of layers there. And a lot of generations of whatnot. But the reason I was bringing that up was because of the fact that one of the things I've learned on my spiritual journey is that, well, first of all, I like to question everything. But second of all, I started to realize that there have been things that really don't make sense to me. And this person that I met along the way said to me, you know, and this is someone who has a PhD, and she used to cut energy cords for Fortune 500 companies way before they went global. So like, she's approaching retirement, but she does incredible energy work. And yet this is somebody highly educated with a PhD. So it's not some woo-woo.
Yeah, of course.
And she said to me, she goes, whenever it doesn't make logical sense to you, that means that it's likely a past life issue.
Boom.
And so I learned, I had this experience where none of it was logical. And again, I'm smart. And I was trying to work my way through this stuff. And I know not everybody believes in past lives. And I didn't at that time either. But I was just like, I was in such an obnoxious situation. And I was just sitting here on, I will try anything at this point because every other thing that I am trying is not working. Right. And so I did a session with this lady. She cut the energy cords of these past lives that happened with somebody. Oh. And all of a sudden, everything shifted.
Really?
Everything. And it was like instantaneous.
How? Like what shifted?
What wrap my head fully around it. But I'm at a point now where I can't deny the fact that there's past lives. And I've even found in parts of Catholicism of where that is like even spoke about and thought, you know, like there's hints of it. There's definitely hints of it in Celtic mysticism, you know, and which was before everything became defunct in a patriarchal church.
Right. In the system that they created, they give you just enough truth to make you question everything and then need to rely on the rest of the structure to keep you enslaved within yourself.
Well, it's really, I also think that it served a good purpose for me in my life up to a certain point, but I just wanted to go deeper.
And that is when you know that you're really ready to step into the work, is when you're just like, I got to go deeper. I got to figure it out. I want to know everything. I want to experience that.
Yeah. You know, and some people experience it through narrow and some people will be more wide. And again, going back to the fact that no way is right or wrong.
So true.
It's like there are different messages for different reasons because different things resonate for different people.
100%. I agree with you on that one for sure.
And the more I really, you know, I don't know if I've ever shared this with our audience, Nam, but last December I was sitting in Sedona and all of a sudden I started getting these downloads about what was happening in something was going to happen with the markets and that things were going to come down. And it's not what any, you know, economist or any analyst would have known, but it's going to hit people hard and they're going to have to redesign their lives and nobody's going to see it coming. And one of my friends said to me, you better write this down. And so I wrote it all down, and now living what we've lived and seeing what the market did, it all came into fruition. And there's been a couple other of those downloads that I've gotten since then. And what I'm super clear about is that we are going to have other layers of the pandemic. And it's going to depend on how many human beings choose to shift and operate from their heart and not their egoic minds. And I was told that we'll have another one in September, and then depending on how many people shift, then we could have another one next March. And I've been getting such clear messages. You know, I hope we all do shift, and you know that there's a big shift by this fall.
I really do too.
Because we deserve that. We don't need to keep pummeling ourselves. We don't need to keep beating each other up. We just need to have love and compassion.
True. Now, so astrologically speaking, what's coming through for the next few years is that there's going to be an escalation of this psycho-spiritual war, if you will. It's going to be the Uranus type energy square to the Saturn energy, and we're going to be in that energy for about 2 years. Now, when these energies are square, This is like the Saturn represents the old structure. It represents essentially like the deep state, if you will. And then the Uranus energy represents the rebellion, like the changing, the evolution of our consciousness. So,
Right.
so that is where, like, I believe that here in this next couple years, there are going to be new leaders, like new thought leaders, new people going to be stepping up and standing out, that are going to be bringing new ideas and new philosophies to the surface to identify, and that people are going to resonate with to create this new world. But there's going to be a lot of people that are going to hold on to the structure of the past because they don't want things to change. And those are the people that are going to resist. But you know, the resistance is going to create degeneration, because essentially
In our bodies, is that what you're talking about?
in the body, in society, I mean, in really every way, shape, and form.
For sure.
Right. So
I'm watching, for me, from a financial perspective, get rid of your debt.
Okay.
Because
yes,
having debt makes it so that you cannot live in the present moment, let alone plan for the future that you want to create.
Mm.
And so many people are laden with so many layers of debt.
Yeah.
That it's about, I want people to go back to the feeling that you feel when you pay off your car and you pay off your house and you pay off your student loan. People geek out about that.
Right.
And it makes them feel good.
Yeah.
We need to follow the feel good energy, even if it's in your own little micro world. And
okay.
Because nobody in their 90s says, I wish I would have worked more and made more money.
Yeah, right.
Nobody ever says that. No one.
Yeah. No, it's all about relationships.
Right. And it's about how, and we're not living in this present moment because we're stuck with all this stuff that we've chose as priorities that clearly we're realizing if you don't have your health, you don't have shit.
No, you really don't.
And we really got to get to a place where, like, we choose that. That's why I chose the quote at the beginning of my book, Awaken Your Wealth. It was from the Dalai Lama. He says, I'm so confused by the Western world. They spend their whole lives making all this money and ignoring their health. But yet, in their later years of life, they use all that money to pay for their health illnesses.
How ironic, right? So it just kind of circles right back around. And
totally.
It's so interesting
along the way.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I see so many people that do just that, and they get locked. Like I have a friend that I saw a few weeks ago, and he's a multi-millionaire. He's driving around a Ferrari, but his body is fucked.
Right.
He's completely thrown off and shut down, but he's like, no, gotta keep going, gotta keep doing this. I just gotta get here. It's like this destination preoccupation. I gotta get to this place, and right, it's like the carrot on the stick. It'll never come.
That's why I always talk about the fact that you have to embody what I call real wealth and being in a state of real wealth, because the people who don't have a few $1 million always think once they have a few $1 million, they're going to be happier. Yeah. And those people who have that few $1 million, they're not happier unless they have embodied real wealth.
Right.
And that just means that you're happy and you're feeding your soul along the way.
100%.
And you're not doing things that are at the expense of your heart and soul. Like, men do this a lot, actually. Men become the most amazing providers for their family historically, but they've done it at the cost of their own souls.
Yeah.
And then 50% of my male clients between 55 and 65 years old have developed cancer around their hip area.
Oh.
Colon or prostate cancer, 50%.
And colon cancer basically represents not being able to let go, not being able to surrender. And prostate is that feeling like a man, feeling like, right. Like you lose your sense of your manhood from just being a slave to your workaholicism. That's right.
Well, and it always starts with good intentions that you want to be a really good provider for your family.
Yeah, but you know what they say, the road to hell was paved with good intentions, right?
Yeah. Well, enough of that, right? Like, it's time, and ladies need to take the clue too. Like, women are becoming providers for their family. Women are becoming providers of their families, and we can't go down the same path.
What's interesting? I don't know if you read my book yet. But
I did.
you did?
Yes.
Oh yeah, duh. Okay, well,
Hello.
in that book, it talked about women, stepping into their responsibility, and how women's pattern baldness has become more profound because of the stress of the control dynamic. It actually makes the hairs rigid, and it makes the hair fall out.
So how do they reverse that?
By letting that freak flag fly and surrendering and letting go and just being, not trying. But isn't it a paradox, right? Like, in order to be able to step up and take charge and be the provider and stand up in that more masculine aspect, you have to control, right? That's part of how you make that happen. But then but in the process, it almost feels counterintuitive to like let go and surrender when you're stepping into a more leadership position. So
right, but here's the trick. Here's the trick.
What's the trick?
Women need to wake up and actually choose to lead with their divine feminine energy and not their masculine energy.
So how does a woman do that?
So women naturally lead very different than men. Again, not good or bad,
right?
But women have chose to become strong in their masculine energy, myself included. Yeah. I mean, that is exactly, even my ex-husband would say that I ruled the roost, right? Because I had a lot of masculine energy in my marriage. And he would always say to me, Julie, I don't work for you. You come home, because I ran a company, and then I'd come home and I wasn't the mom and the wife. I was still being the owner of a business.
Right.
And trying to turn that, it was like brain surgery to me on some level. Like, how do I flip from that side of my brain to this side of my brain?
Yeah.
And it's not an easy thing, but it's about so the masculine energy is about the doing, it's being competitive, and it's and the female is about being and allowing and receiving.
Right.
And so we have to allow and hold space, not necessarily get in your face to get a point across. So it's like allowing somebody to have an opinion, just kind of sit back and be like, well, that's interesting. Have you ever thought about it from this perspective, as opposed to, you're wrong, you shouldn't do it that way. Because there's masculine and feminine, and we all have both, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, wouldn't that be the answer for both men and women?
Totally true.
Yeah.
Right. But if women have become men, how are women supposed to show the rest of the world how to be in divine feminine energy if they're not actually owning that greatness about themselves?
True.
I mean, women can blame men all they want about not being paid the same and this and that. We're not being paid the same because you're not owning your greatest gifts. Because money is energy. You're trying to do a dude's job, and of course you're not going to get paid the same thing when you're not being yourself.
So true. So true. When you're in your authentic place, you make more money. That's
male or female.
Yeah.
Those who operate in what they are passionate about doing, and they do it better than anyone else in the world, they always make more money than the people who don't.
Yeah, so no more faking the funk. I mean, there's no reason to fake it.
No, because don't fake it till you make it. Just be in what makes you giggle.
Yeah, be what makes you giggle.
Right? I mean, you're completely designing and creating your life, right?
Right, yeah. We are the creators of our life.
Go back to the days of the massage therapy stuff, right? One of the best gifts you were ever given was the fact that you were told not to be that any longer.
Yeah, so true.
Right?
Absolutely.
And it's like
step up into this more deeper level of responsibility, and now that I'm actually accepting it and moving deeper into it, it's like, yeah.
Well, I think it's just super important for all of us to we've got to drop everything that doesn't resonate with our hearts today.
Yeah.
Whether that's people or jobs or
so true.
Whatever.
So true.
So we don't have the capacity unless we start to. Things are going to keep coming, and we're going to be at max capacity. We're already at max capacity at so many levels.
We're beyond max capacity right now. We are in the next capacity.
I know.
Right, and in this, we are in a very unique space right now, energetically. According to the astrology too, because this eclipse season, we have 3 eclipses instead of 2. in this month, right? And we're finishing up the last part of the Capricorn Cancer cycle. So we're officially moving into the Gemini Sagittarius cycle. So this, like, you know, Capricorn rules the 10th house. This is the structure. Right. This is like, you know, governments and corporations and things like this. Capricorn, I mean, Cancer represents the home. It represents the emotions. What do we really love? What do we really desire?
Right.
Right. So this last couple eclipses is really just that 99% to that 100%. Like, this is what you like. The universe is just screaming in our face. This is what you really love. This is what you really want. Stop lying to yourself. Stop running away from it. It's time to face your shit.
Totally. And why do you think it is that so many of us cower from that?
Because so many of us are actually really afraid of how powerful we are. Right? Because
isn't that from A Course in Miracles?
Yeah, that was Marianne
Williamson.
Yeah. I read some abridged version of that. She's a genius. She's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we love her. Like, it's that fear that it's the fear from the conditioning that we have because our parents believed a certain way and we took that on when we were younger, and it's embedded in our central nervous system, so that whenever we go to step into our power, it's like we were taught that that's wrong. We're taught that that's not right. It's counter to what we were conditioned to. So we have to face that conditioning and rewire our own circuitry energetically. And that's scary for a lot of people. But right now, it's sort of like it's going to be scary if you do or you don't. So which way are you going to go?
Right.
You want to stay stuck in the scary, or you want to face the scary and go through it? Your choice.
Well, it's going to come regardless.
Well, it's going to come, and it's either going to you're either going to grow or you're going to die. That's sort of like the black. I'm not saying that now. Please don't take that as like, you know,
literal,
an absolute. I'm just saying that that's
but I, you know what? I truly believe I've gotten 5 messages in the last week of people who have said someone in their lives have died.
I've heard of quite a few people. Like, I think like about 2 months ago, I had 7 of my friends say that either their best friend or a close family member had committed suicide.
Yeah.
There's a lot of death going on right now.
Yeah.
But it's because this is
rebirth. Right?
Yeah, a lot of rebirth. Absolutely. So and this is at the soul level. Like, people that are choosing to go in that direction, it's like their soul's like, okay, that's it, end of the road. And I really feel like the universe has really brought everyone that's alive right now, you know, has been, you know, for a divine purpose. We are the ones, we volunteered to come here to change the world. We have to raise our vibration, and the way that the vibration is raising, it's going to start interacting with all this, like negatively interacting with the lower density vibrations. So people that are holding on to stuff, it's going to start to be incredibly painful, like more painful than they want to experience. So it's almost, it's in a way forcing them to face it. You just have to have the love for yourself and the courage to do it. That's all.
Right. That is so true. And you know what, and be okay with the fact that those that you love, if they're choosing otherwise, to again just hold space. You know, I've had lots of people tell me going, well, my mom needs to just change her diet and she needs to do this. You know what? Allow people to have their choices.
They have to make
because if you're trying to force somebody else to stick around, that means you have unsettled stuff in you about your relationship with that person.
Yeah.
So look at that and just allow that person to make the choice they're making for their own life.
Right. And that is what a lot of people are getting attached to, right? That wanting it more for someone else than they want it for themselves, or that's trying to fix people. And that is essentially spiritually bypassing. And that has become more apparent right now because, and this doesn't become aware until you really 100% dedicate yourself to the work where like, okay, I'm really going to dedicate myself to looking at myself every time I get triggered. What is the universe trying to teach me? And we might respond to the trigger at first, but you know, quicker and quicker you will catch yourself when you really authentically make that choice within yourself. And then it just gets quicker and quicker. And as you get stronger and more confident and you believe in it, it just starts moving. Until then, it's like an internal process. And this is exactly how, you know, like say someone gets into a car accident, right? They shatter their hip. Now, like they've been in a cast for 9 months. Now they have to relearn how to walk all over again. Well, you have to retrain the proprioception of your body so that you can move structurally and bring it back. Because now you're going to have restrictions from all that scar tissue, right? Well, we have energetic scar tissue in there that we have to reorient.
Right.
And you have to be very aware of it.
Well, and we really need to realize the fact that you can't fix or change anybody. And when you try to fix or change anybody, it's because you are then creating your own suffering cycles.
Yeah, so true.
So there's a lot of women that are out there, and I can say this because I'm a woman. You might be called a jerk if you say this, but I can say it because I'm a chick.
Yeah, you say it.
But there's a lot of women who go into control mode. And, you know, I guess it's not just women. I guess men do this too. But you go into control mode because you have fears, and then you try to impose or fix or change somebody else because of your own internal comfort level. And you really need to just allow people to be exactly where they're at and love them for who they are, not who you're trying to force them to be or force them to show up for you in a certain way. Because that goes back to that you're needing something from somebody else. And if you are really whole within yourself, you don't need to fix anyone. You don't need to change anyone. You don't need to complain about that person, like, because you don't need anything from them because you're happy within yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
And it all goes down to self-love and self-care. And for so many of us, you know, especially if you have a religious background, like you were told that it was like you were bad if you did self-love, self-care.
Yeah, right.
You know, like that was selfish. And it's like, no. It's like enough of the selfish part, because you know what? I don't want my kids living in my house at 25 and completely dependent on me. I want them to grow their own legs and figure it out and be resilient. And I don't want to fix it for them. And like some people be like, well, your daughter's being a little selfish. I said, nope, I think she's taking care of her own needs.
There we go.
And if you're not comfortable with somebody else taking care of their own needs, well, that's your stuff.
Yeah.
That's not the other person's stuff. Because again, you're triggered. If you're triggered, it's about you.
100%.
You know, but a lot of times when we're triggered, like I'm watching, I mean, just pick the thing in the news. Like, and I don't watch the news, but just pick the thing that's out there and all these people being triggered.
Oh, yeah.
That's and everybody will say they're being triggered for good reasons.
Of course.
Because we're defending ourselves. But if you were whole within yourself, then you wouldn't be triggered.
There's no need for it.
That's how our emotions work. Our emotions are vibrations.
Right.
And the question is what do you want to have, higher vibrations or lower vibrations? And I still go back to the fact that they have now figured out that different diseases vibrate at different levels. Diabetes is 54 megahertz, cancer is 44 megahertz, optimal health, I think, is 68 megahertz. And it's like, okay, well, love, compassion, those are all up here. Yeah. Fear, hate, competition, those are all lower vibrations. So which disease do you want to develop? Because if you vibrate at a certain level for long enough, you then create that illness. You then create that vibration, because then on the physical level is where it shifts last.
Absolutely.
And so be very choosy about what you're putting out there, because it's super, super important, particularly times like this.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. I love it. That message really, really resonates with me. Yeah.
I mean, I just keep telling my kids, I feel terrible on some level, because, you know, the divorce for them has been very hard. It was a change. And, you know, my 7-year-old says, Mommy, I really want us to be a family again. I'm like, honey, just because we live in different homes, we're not a family. You know, and they're like, well, why can't we just have you guys get back together? And I'm like, honey, that's never going to happen. You know,
yeah,
and there's a lot of people would get into the guilt thing and then get into everything else. And I'm just like,
a lot of guilt and shame's coming up right now. And in fact, I actually have a question for you from Genevieve.
Yes,
is being sad at the evil and destruction me being triggered?
Say that again?
Is being sad at the evil and destruction going on in the world, is that someone being triggered?
No, I actually think she's probably an empath, and she's just feeling what other people aren't willing to feel right now. And so collectively, we feel those things. I have two kids that are very strong empaths.
Yeah.
And they very much so are feeling like they're crying for no reason.
Oh,
and I know they're just feeling the stuff around them. And because, you know, I'll explain it this way. You know, someone who taught me energy work taught me that, you know, back when my dad had his strokes back in 2005, he had 2 major strokes. And out of the 12 children, I'm the one that we got him to the right hospital, the right doctors, the right ICU unit, blah, 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 blah. I was the doer.
Yeah.
I didn't feel my emotions at all. I was in task mode. I was getting it done. I set up the schedule of what kid was going to be in the hospital with dad at what time to blah. For Christ's sake, there's 12 of us. You know, you don't have to have too many shifts when you have that many people in your family.
Yeah.
But then I had a sibling who was a puddle, like couldn't stop crying, fall apart, couldn't like show up. And I was like, sack up, would you? Like, I was like, what are you doing?
Sack up.
This energy worker pretty much bitch slapped me, pardon my French.
Yeah.
And she said to me, she goes, Julie, you have to understand how the energy works in a group of siblings. For extreme as you were, for not feeling any of your emotions, that sibling was on the complete opposite side, and you had 10 other siblings in between. But he was feeling all the emotions that you and the other ones that were closer to you weren't feeling.
Exactly.
And so I think a lot of the people, so we go back to the fact that we are one, right? Our universe, we are one. And until we realize that we're all one, then we're going to have bigger problems. But so for those people who are like in a place of, you know, this hate and this anger is really just deep sadness.
Right. Of course.
And so collectively, those people who are feeling the sadness, it's allowing it to go through you. The key is don't take it on and let it stick in your system. You got to learn to
let it go.
Move through.
And I think that's why so many people right now are waking up, because the collective energy, we have this big group of people in the world that are not awake, that don't realize what they're doing. They're projecting and they're triggering, but they're not processing this energy. So we're essentially doing the energy for all of humanity right now.
Correct. Right.
Yeah. So our job is extra, super important right now.
Now, if that person in her sadness is like lashing out at people because she's sad, then that's a trigger.
Yeah.
There's a difference between feeling the feelings and lashing out, and because you got to stay in a state of observer and stay in a state of neutrality. Otherwise, you're triggered because you're reacting. So if you're reacting, you're triggered.
Right. Okay. So know the difference, feel the difference, be the difference.
Ooh, that sounds like a bumper sticker.
Huh? Sounds
like a bumper sticker.
Yeah. Right.
Be the difference. That's okay. You can own it.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna patent that shit.
Nice. I don't know if patents are gonna matter anymore once we get.
Well, yeah, right. maybe copyright. I don't know. We'll see.
Thought about that with trademarks and patents. Like, that's all ego based. Like, it's my shit, not your shit. I'm kind of it all comes from the etheric field, and we're all one. Who fucking really owns it?
Yeah. Right. Exactly. We're all taking information, energy from the same place. So yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, I really struggle with that because I have a bunch of trademarks, you know, and I've had people who have work that's similar to mine. And then I started realizing that when you talk to the attorneys are like, protect your intellectual property. And it's like, protect them from the etheric field. Like,
well, if you're
like, what?
Multi-dimensional being, then none of that stuff's going to matter in the next few years.
Precisely. Right? I'm just sitting here going, you know, I just want consciousness to get to the next place. And you know what? It's going to be more than just me talking about this stuff for it to happen.
Well, I hear you. We got to start somewhere, right?
Well, precisely. Right. But you don't have to go instantly in defensive mode.
No.
You know, because I truly believe that anything that's operating in the old egoic model, patriarchy model, it's all going to disintegrate anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
I'm going to be taken care of. You're going to be taken care of. People who are doing the next right step are going to be supported and lifted up. And those who are triggering and fighting and doing all that, you're going to keep your suffering cycles going for a while and get a few more nosebleeds besides until you shift.
Yeah, yeah, and just so there was the same woman was talking about how she's feeling it in her body aches and pains, and those are called ascension symptoms. So essentially, as you're learning how to process these energies, they're going to come through your body and activate the areas where these denser energies are hiding and purge them out. So these ascension symptoms are what you're feeling from the way that you're describing them. And when you're feeling these, you just have that's gonna help you to learn how to surrender through meditation, through yoga, or different practices. Your nutrition and your movement of your body is going to help a lot with that, to be able to strengthen your mind and allow yourself to be a container of energy, as opposed to attaching to the energy and trying to figure out how to fix it, because there is no fixing, there is just processing, right? Think of yourself as a filter in this collective awareness of the collective unconscious. You're a filter to let this energy go through you and purify it and let it go and get rid of it.
Okay, right? So can I speak to that? So
of course,
I'm pretty advanced on that stuff, and that stuff's getting stuck on my divine feminine side like nobody's business. So it's one thing to say it, but I like logistically, I still have yet, because all my stuff gets stuck in my body, right?
Yep.
So how do I move it? Like everything on my divine feminine side, from like I can feel the left side of my chest wall, I can feel the pain in my shoulder, all the way down to my foot and the arch of my left foot. Like, and that's all divine feminine. It's like the whole thing. And because I know the feminine's supposed to lead the masculine, in my own system, it's still trying to realign.
Right.
So how does somebody I'm like, okay, I work out, I support myself with the right foods. Like, how else do you move these? And I've meditated for years. Like, how do we move that energy in a more effective manner?
Well, think about this, like, as you upgrade your energy, right? As you continually increase your vibration, it comes with it more responsibility, more difficult tests, just like levels in a video game, right? Or say, like, before, like maybe a year ago, you were driving like a Honda. Now you're like driving like a Tesla, and eventually you're going to get to like a McLaren. Okay.
I don't even know what McLaren is.
So as you do that, the energy shifts and you have to feed it differently. So this is sort of a constant cat and mouse game of learning how to up your game, so to speak, with the movement, with the nutrition. And you've been doing it very well. You've been learning, like, you sort of get to this point, there's a little bit of a plateau, you figure it out, you release it, let's go, you keep losing weight, then you keep moving on to the higher vibration, right? So it's just right now, the energy, this new, more powerful energy is moving through, and your body is sort of like adjusting to that energy. So it's sort of like, it's almost like, it's like energetic Drano, clearing out all the denser energies to open it up more, to allow more higher vibrational energies to keep moving in through you.
And does body work help that stuff too?
Body work definitely helps that. Yeah, absolutely.
So you're going to be here in the next 48 hours? And stuff like, well, I got a laundry list for you. No.
Yeah, right.
No, but I think it's important, like, because people don't normally, if you go somewhere going, I have these pains in my body, like, you don't see many people in the medical field talking about ascension symptoms.
No, but you will be in the next few years, though.
But I also know from the work I do that a lot of the pain. So let's talk about this. So ascension symptoms. You're increasing your vibration. And I've always said that pain in the body is unprocessed emotion. So if you're increasing your vibration, you have to vibrate out or feel the feelings of the stuff that's stuck in your body. Is that fair enough to say?
Yes, that's fair enough to say.
Cool. Well, that's a mouthful.
Yeah. So hold on one second. My thing ran out here on Instagram, so I gotta.
But we are at 7 o'clock, my friend.
Yes, we are. Okay.
You gotta love technology, right?
I know, right?
Well,
That's
the key
okay,
is
but
for
that was
everybody to keep increasing their vibration, increase love and compassion,
trust.
stay being the observer, try to stay in as much of a state of neutrality as possible, and money will fall into alignment, clear out your debt, continue to work through the physical symptoms that we're having.
Exactly.
And as things continue to develop, you know, we're here to keep helping you guys on your journey.
100%.
Yeah. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, certainly you can reach me at juliemurphy.com. You know, I'm going to be rolling out a mini course here in a couple weeks.
Oh, hell yeah. I can't wait.
Through your system.
Okay.
Because I find that it's one thing to be able to like read a book about awakening your wealth, but it's another thing to get some support along the way. So.
Oh, without a doubt. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you guys can reach me at spiritualbodybuilder.com for astrology reading, spiritual health coaching. I have a great opportunity community where we just work through a lot of stuff, facing triggers and really connecting with some beautiful people, and download my free ebook. Decoding.
It's really good. I can't even believe it's free. I'm the money chick. He should not be giving this away for free, but he is. It's got a lot of great stuff in it. So if you don't get it, you're just being a boo.
Oh, okay.
What did Mr. T used to say? Play me.
Oh man, I literally just like saw you as Mr. T right there. Like, which no, I was thinking I pity the fool.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. See you next Monday.
Thank you, guys.
Namaste.